Hey guys, what I didn't mention in the following film is that all of the characters, Kirk, Spock, Quill, Luke Skywalker, and even at some point Anakin, are all hero archetypes in the sci-fi genre. They all endure the hero's journey throughout their own respective films or series that create a story arc. The rise above, like Spock, Kirk, and Quill, downfall, like Anakin, or near downfall, like Luke's case. I examined for fun a running theme that all of them kind of have parental issues that lead to their story arcs in the first place. This is my very last assignment in my undergrad, and I had so much fun making it. It's only fitting that I finish my undergrad the way I began it, making films. Star Wars and Star Trek are one of the few genres that inspired me to start film in the first place. I'm a huge nerd, and my mom and my uncles turned me on to sci-fi. So this project is dedicated to them. Enjoy.
Mommy and Daddy Issues in Space. Today we will be reviewing 3 films of the sci-fi genre: Star Wars, Star Trek, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But first, let's get the obvious out of the way. All of the 3 films depict their societies consisting of multiple planets and species, all the while promoting philosophical and political messages. Star Trek expresses the ethics of new exploration by not interfering with others' way of life via the Prime Directive, as it promotes an era of space exploration to boldly go where no one has gone before. There is a political statement throughout the franchise trying to promote space exploration since NASA has battled for funding since the show's beginning in 1966. Star Wars promotes socialism and preaches against totalitarianism. Guardians of the Galaxy, however, advocates tolerance for all walks of life and preaches against mass genocide through the so-called peace treaty between the Kree and the Xandarians, even though the antagonist Ronan would like to think otherwise. Let's not forget the most important fact that each of the films have influenced changes in one another. Star Trek premiered as the show in 1966, only ran for 3 seasons, and although Shatner has given credit to Star Wars films that came out 10 years later for being the inspiration for the Star Trek films that have came out afterwards, let's face it though, without the advancement in the sci-fi genre that both Star Trek and Star Wars showed early on, the films Guardians of the Galaxy wouldn't exist today. Although the comic debuted in 1969, the movie wouldn't exist until many years later. Which brings us to our theme. All of the characters seem to have authority issues. Anakin Skywalker never had a father figure growing up, as he was born of a virgin birth, though he eventually formed a relationship with his master father figure, Obi-Wan Kenobi, during his training years as a young Jedi. He showed little regard for rules and orders from his authority figures. Later on in the films, we find out that Obi-Wan is the one who technically destroyed Anakin and brought about Darth Vader. This left for his son Luke to be without a father, as Luke rebels against the life of a moisture farmer till his aunt and uncle are killed in the 4th film, which allows Luke to ultimately set himself on his own personal journey to rebel against his own father and the empire that his dad Darth Vader had built over the previous 18 years. In the reboot of Star Trek, Captain Kirk rebelled against his stepfather and couldn't be controlled as a child. He originally resisted the call of Starfleet against the idea of having to answer to someone. When he accepted training, Kirk cheated and won the Kobayashi Maru to test his command capabilities. It's not meant to have a winner, it's meant to demonstrate that a captain cannot cheat death. All these characters in the Star Trek universe have father issues, with the exception of Spock, whose troubles are based on mommy issues. Mother goes against the human side, which Spock wishes to turn his back on, as Spock leans towards his Vulcan father side, wishing to embrace a life without emotions. His human side gets in the way of doing that. Along with the reboot, it plays against the concept of killing the very reason why Kirk became a captain to begin with. His father, ignoring the fact that Kirk's dad is Thor in the reboot series, places Kirk's father, George Kirk, as heroically going down with the ship while under attack, and allowing for his wife Renona and his unborn son James to evacuate. It was revealed later by Spock that in another timeline, Kirk's father lived to see Kirk become captain. Lastly, there's Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is full of characters that have authority figure issues. We won't even get to touch on the fact that Gamora and her sister Nebula, whom both have major daddy issues, result in one of the most expensive computer-generated catfights of the year. We will instead focus on Peter Quill. From what we know of the film series so far is that he lost his mother the same night that he was kidnapped by aliens. Flash forward a few years, we can only figure he raised himself doing illegal and unspeakable acts. With the lack of any kind of authoritative father figure, except for Yondu and his band of merry ravengers, Peter walks down a road that only he can call his own.
Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me.